A growth mindset is a way of looking at things from a different perspective. When faced with challenges, a person who practices a growth mindset adapts and learns from them. Even in failure, there is success in experience. So how do you develop a growth mindset? What's up, movers and thinkers? It's Jeff, and welcome back to my channel. In this episode, we're talking about thriving in challenges and how your mindset plays an intricate role in that process. We'll talk specifically about growth mindset, but also related to other mindsets and methods that may have existed earlier. Like I said before, even in failure, there is success in experience. That's a little anecdote I made up that kind of correlates to what is needed to have a growth mindset, or at least partially what you would want to have a growth mindset. Now, there's a ton of information already online about the growth mindset, and I encourage you to look that up, specifically Carol Dweck and Stanford University and her colleagues. But to sum it up and keep it real simple, a person with a growth mindset believes that intelligence is not fixed. They believe that they can increase intelligence through effort and persistence. The person who has a fixed mindset, which is basically the opposite of a growth mindset, believes that intelligence is something you're born with, right? It's your innate ability that comes out of you, like you're a good artist, you're good at sports. Those are all intelligence praises. Those are all ideas that link to your identity. Skills or whatever talents you have, that's linked directly to who you are as a person, not as something you can develop. So that's the difference between a growth mindset and a fixed mindset. Is basically a growth mindset is the belief that you can increase intelligence through effort and practice and persistence, where a fixed mindset believes that you are born and you are innately having that intelligence, which really can't be increased, I guess, or decreased. Well, I guess any intelligence could be decreased. One of the key factors to having a growth mindset is the ability to distance your identity from the challenge, right? So you are not the challenge. In the fixed mindset, you're using your intelligence, right? Your identity linked to your intelligence. And that means that if you do well or fail, it's going to be linked to who you are. Where with a growth mindset, you have this ability to say, hey, I'm going to try this. And if I fail, that's okay. I can put more effort into it, more practice and more persistence, and I can learn and get better at it. And this has been proven over and over again, like I said, through numerous research studies online, which I encourage you to look up, specifically about neuroplasticity and the growth mindset. One of the main studies that Carol Dweck has done has been with children and the idea of effort-based praise versus intelligence-based praise. So they found that when they gave intelligence-based praise to people before and after situations, it actually made them do worse, either during the event or on the subsequent event. And then if they gave them effort-based praise, that they tended to do better, and they tended to look at challenges with more of a hunger, let's say, a belief that they can take it on, which is very interesting because they're not tying the identity, right? It all goes back to, it's not personal if you don't figure it out. It's not that you're not smart, it's just that you haven't figured out how to do it yet. And yet is a big word that Carol Dweck likes to use, and I like that word as well. And I encourage you, like I said, check out her work, it's great. Another important fact that I learned about that study was that the people that had intelligence-based praise also tended to embellish about their intelligence or whatever that praise was. Let's say you were told you were great at math, then you might tend to almost embellish or lie about subsequent results to kind of maintain your identity, if that makes sense. I thought that was a very interesting factor about it, where you have this pressure, let's say, to maintain that high position, that label that other people have put on you. So that is a very brief overview of Carol Dweck and some of her colleagues' work, and I encourage you to look at that work on your own. Like I said, I am just summarizing some of that, and it's amazing work, and I don't want to take anything away from anyone. However, I personally believe that the growth mindset has been documented way before Carol Dweck in the 90s. And this source is so old that it's already public domain. It's the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Now, in the book, he talks about this as the secret, right? He keeps talking about all these characteristics that you need to develop and maintain to become this person, and he calls it the science of personal achievement, right? That's what you're trying to cultivate. But I think what also comes out of this is that growth mindset. So when he talks about the secret that's needed, the persistence, the desire, the ways to cultivate desire and persistence throughout the book, which is, I'm not going to go into, but amazing and free. Like I said, it's public domain. You can really understand the correlations between it. There's even one part of the book where there's like a meeting of the minds, and he talks about creating this cabinet of, say, famous or smart people or whatever idealistic individuals that you want in your cabinet. And then when you have a problem, that's how you meditate. You close your eyes, you envision this cabinet, and you all kind of discuss and create ideas on how to solve problems. So it's like you're meditating on building a growth mindset. You're using the idea of other people's ideas and working together, attack a problem through many different lenses, right? Not just your own, right? All these different people that you've created in your head are different lenses. In fact, he talks about the mindset very early on in the book, and I'm gonna play it for you right now.
To begin, we have to understand the simple truth, the principle or philosophy which lies as the supporting structure of this work. The reason Think and Grow Rich has withstood the test of time is because it rests on the broad, clean foundation upon which may also be found every accomplishment of man. The clear, unchallengeable fact that everything begins with an idea. A philosophy based on the fact that riches of every kind begin with the state of mind, that one may start with nothing but thoughts, ideas, and organized plans. Thoughts are things, incredibly powerful things when mixed with definiteness of purpose, persistence, and a burning desire for their translation into material objects or riches. Riches being whatever it is you happen to want. Wise men have been saying this for centuries, and just recently Charles A. Cerami wrote, "The truth is that the human mind is as real an organism as any muscle in the body, but far greater in potential power. And like muscle fiber, it can be strengthened to lead on to unimagined conquests." So this then is the truth on which Think and Grow Rich is based.
And on the topic of other mindsets, I just want to touch on the Mover Thinker mindset, which is a 3-week email series that I created to help you move and think better on a regular basis. And this is available for anyone and all body types. I'm going to leave a link in the description if you're interested. Getting back to the growth mindset, how does just having a growth mindset positively affect people when looking at challenges? Well, the main reason this works is because you're separating your identity from the challenge, right? You are not the talent, you are not the skill. So when you attack a challenge, you're looking at the challenge as an effort-based solution, right? How can I find a solution if I don't accomplish the challenge on my first time? What can I do differently next time? How can I learn from my mistakes so I can grow, growth mindset, and then accomplish that challenge later? The whole idea of intelligence is completely separated from your identity, and that's the key. You have to remember that. A growth mindset believes that intelligence is effort-based and persistence-based, practice-based. An intelligence-based mindset or a fixed mindset believes that your intelligence is your identity, right? You're born with that innate skill, that innate talent that only you have from birth, and you cannot really do much better.
Everyone brings over with him at birth the equivalent of 2 sealed envelopes, one of which is clearly labeled, "The riches you may enjoy if you take possession of your own mind and direct it to ends of your own choice," and the other is labeled, "The penalties you must pay if you neglect to take possession of your mind and direct it."
I used to read and listen to a lot of Anthony Robbins tape sets back when there were tape sets. And I found that he had these great sayings. And one of them was, "Failure is the key to success." And I always found that was such a great saying, and I've never let it go. So failure, right? The idea that when you get something wrong, that is an opportunity for you to succeed again. So already, right, he was preaching a growth mindset. And what's kind of funny is I can link a lot of these great gurus and self-help people back to Think and Grow Rich, because that was written in 1927. Like I said, it's so old, the book, that it's public domain. And that means that a lot of these people growing up, that's what they read. right? There weren't too many self-help books around. So Think and Grow Rich was a monumental book of its time. It's so funny, he even says, he's like, there's never been a book written like this, and there never will be. And I still believe it to this day. So if you haven't read that book, I urge you to read Think and Grow Rich. I just wanted to give you a little example of how the growth mindset is everywhere. And it's been part of a lot of self-help and gurus. I love the work at Stanford, how they're quantifying it and, kind of measuring it. But the reality is, it's nothing new. And anyone can implement it with the proper tools. We're all gonna fall victim to having that fixed mindset, right? It's something you just fall back in. You believe that you're only good at certain things, and it's really hard to get away from, especially since society has basically told us this forever. I mean, a lot of the research that these people are doing is in the 90s. So before that, you had to read books and just believe it, and it was not widely known. Now it is, right? Now this research is quantifying what a lot of these self-help gurus have already known for years and just wanted you to believe. But now the idea behind it probably holds more weight, right? It's easier to believe. And that's already part of the growth mindset, right? Is believing that it's possible. So the research is only helping everything, right? The idea that we're further quantifying mindsets and growth mindset is only making this better, because the more that you think that you can develop this growth mindset, the easier it will be to develop the growth mindset. And that's a big part of it, is learning or believing the neuroplasticity of your mind, which is another thing you could look up that I'm not gonna talk about today, but that's an amazing subject in and of its own. So how can you develop a growth mindset, right? If you're always falling back to the fixed mindset, or if we're always a victim of a fixed mindset, how do you develop and maintain a growth mindset? Well, one of the things I would do is work towards effort-based everything. So if I was doing affirmations, I would work to make those affirmations effort-based, saying something like, you put a lot of effort in this week and you should be proud of the effort that you've put forth already, right? That could be an affirmation, very generic about your effort, instead of saying something like, you completed all these tasks, you're so smart and efficient, go you, right? That'd be more of an intelligence-based praise that's tying it to my personality or my identity, which I don't want to do, right? I want to detach, right? I want to create this effort-based mentality. If you're working a lot with goal setting, then you can use effort-based praise. So whether you achieve the goal or not, you're constantly giving yourself effort-based praise, obviously within reason, based on your quality and substantial efforts, right? You don't want to give effort-based praise unintentionally. You don't want to give effort-based praise to someone that's really not giving the effort, right? That would be lying or being deceiving. Other things you can do to maintain a growth mindset could be meditation. You could meditate on the ability to detach your intelligence from your identity. You could engage in physical movement practices that'll help you to release tension and also develop new patterns in your body, which could indirectly help develop new patterns in your mind. You can perform rituals, and those rituals can help you build skills, or they can help you build detachment. So there are countless stories about people that have developed a growth mindset online and in the world. And I'm not going to give you my own personal story, but I encourage you to read the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. He basically follows around some of the most successful people of the time, and he tells you their story and why they have been successful. And that's what created the book, The Science of Personal Achievement. In the book, he states that he tried to write many books and none of them were working until he brought his notes from traveling with all these people to the editor, and the editor's like, this is your book. This is your greatest work. So it's very interesting how this even all came about. Again, if you're looking for real life stories on how a growth mindset has affected people in the past and how they developed it, I encourage you to read Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. So maybe in the end, it's not just a growth mindset, it's many mindsets, or it's just mindset in general. It's however you organize your ideas for growth. And you can call it a growth mindset, but we can just say over time, this has been a way people have cultivated mindset, right? They've organized their ideas for success, whatever that success is that they defined for them. Success does not have to be money. Success does not have to be fame. Right? Everyone looks at success differently. And that's the beauty of mindset, is you can create your own mindset for your own success. That's why I encourage you to check out the Mover Thinker Mindset, because I really teach you how to formulate and shape your mindset, which is similar to the growth mindset. We just get a little more detailed with specific goals and some action plans. I also encourage you to check out the people at Stanford and their work, Carol Dweck, Dr. Ali Crum, and Andrew Huberman. So you can listen to Andrew Huberman's podcast where he outlines a lot of what I talked about. It's a great podcast, but all their stuff is great. Dr. Ali Crum is the one that's kind of defined mindset. So it's kind of where I'm jumping back between growth mindset and mindset, mover thinker mindset, think and grow rich mindset. So it really all kind of depends on the life you're trying to live, the mindset you're trying to develop, which is malleable, right? That's the beauty of it. To review, a person with the growth mindset believes that intelligence is effort-based and can be learned through practice and persistence. Someone with a fixed mindset believes that intelligence is innate and you're born with it and it's all you get. And the growth mindset, or any mindset, is a practice. In closing, I want to thank you for spending some of your valuable time with me. If you have any comments or questions, or you want to leave information about mindsets and growth mindsets for me, please leave it in the comments and I'd love to hear your feedback. My name's Jeff, and thanks for joining me. And if you're looking for another video,